Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm Carolyn Vermont. I'm the CEO for Habitat for Humanity of Coastal Fairfield County. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us this afternoon. I realize that some of you are on your lunch break. However, if possible, if you can stay present on the screen, it would be great. But if you can't, we certainly understand. You may be eating your lunch. As we move forward with today's presentation, please place your questions in the chat feature so that our guest speaker can entertain your questions after he finished his presentation. So I would like to share a little bit with you about Habitat and also Black History Month. Habitat for Humanity of Coastal Fairfield County seeks to build community and improve lives by partnering with low-income families, volunteers, and donors to build decent, affordable homes in stable and welcoming neighborhoods. At Habitat for Humanity of Coastal Fairfield County, we are committed to creating a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion, which are central in our mission. We recently dedicated our 279th home earlier this year. So we're very excited about that. And most of you know about Black history, but I would just like to share a little more. As you know, Black History Month was created to focus attention on the contribution of African Americans to the United States. It honors all Black people from all periods of US history, from the enslaved people first brought over from Africa to African Americans living in the United States today. I'd also like to share a part of President Biden's Black History Month 2023 proclamation. And it states that we are using every avenue to confront racial discrimination in housing and in mortgage lending, and to help build generational wealth in Black communities. We are working to ensure that any housing agency that receives federal funds will reach beyond the simple premise not to discriminate, and will instead take meaningful affirmative steps to overcome historic patterns of segregation, giving every person a fair chance to live where they choose. We are addressing the negative impacts of redlining and other forms of financial discrimination. And we are working to end discriminatory systems of appraisals that assign lesser value to Black-owned family homes than similar homes owned by white families. And so I just want to thank President Biden for that. Certainly his proclamation is much longer and cover much more as it relates to Black history and the struggle of Blacks in America to this day. And so I just want to thank him, and I just wanted to share that specific piece about housing and housing discrimination that Blacks are facing is very real in America. And so thankfully at Habitat, we are able to offer Black families and all qualified families an opportunity for home ownership, where we offer them a mortgage with no down payment, no interest. The mortgage never exceeds more than 30% of a household income. And we also prepare our families for home ownership. It takes about a year to go through the process of becoming homeowners. We offer many workshops on financial literacy, conflict resolution, how to be a good neighbor, and other categories. But once we select a qualified family to become a Habitat homeowner, we want them to stay that way. So we offer them all the resources, all the education that we can to help them. So moving on, at this time, I would like to introduce our presenter for the day, David Femi. And I will share a little bit about David. Since meeting David here in the Bridgeport community, once M&T Bank actually moved in, he has just really been doing some impactful work in our community, working with different multicultural organizations and just uh, just working to make a difference in the lives of our community members. So I am excited, happy, and grateful that he was able to take some time out of his busy schedule to join us today. So a little bit more about David. So David Femi currently serves as M&T Bank's Regional Manager for Business and Professional Banking for Fairfield County and Southern Connecticut. He is also M&T's Head of Multicultural Banking and Diverse Market Strategy. Prior to leading the bank's multicultural and diverse market strategy, David served as the Retail Regional Sales Manager for the Buffalo Central region of M&T Bank. An enthusiastic and visionary leader in the banking and financial services industry, David has a track record of building and leading successful teams. He is most fulfilled when helping people to grow professionally. His vision and ability to nurture relationships lead to long-term solutions and success. A change advocate with deep sense of community, diverse market growth expertise, and neighborhood revitalization, David is committed to adding strength and resiliency to our diverse communities across the M&T footprint. Throughout his tenure in the financial services and banking industry, David has built a reputation for championing financial services inclusivity aimed at empowering families and small businesses. He currently serves on various boards, including serving on the board of directors for Housatonic Community College Foundation. David also serves as the leadership committee of the American Bankers Association Black Banker Employee Resource Group. An All-American scholar, David consistently embraces the core values of integrity, innovation, and growth. He is the recipient of the George Washington Leadership Award from Delaware State University and a recipient of the Wilmington, Delaware YMCA Black Achievers Leadership Award. David was recognized for his work in championing community revitalization efforts via financial wellness programs and working with numerous community and private sector leaders to improve the plight of Buffalo's East Side community. He was awarded the Buffalo Black Achievers Leadership Award in 2019. In 2022, the Buffalo Business first recognized David as one of the who's who in banking in WNY, Western New York. David holds a finance MBA and bachelor's degree in political science with a minor in finance from Delaware State University. During his spare time, David is also an adjunct professor. Please join me in welcoming David Femi.
Awesome. Carolyn, thank you so much. I am deeply humbled by the introduction there. I was beginning to wonder who you were talking about. So I thank you for the platform, and thank you for the opportunity here to spend this lunchtime with you and with other incredible leaders in our communities where we live and work. And good morning or good afternoon, everyone, and would love to wish everyone happy Black History Month. You know, I like to tell people that there's no American history without Black history. So said differently, America's history is Black history. America's future is Black history. I was born and raised in Nigeria, in West Africa. So Caroline, when you said, you know, Black History Month honors all Black people, those enslaved Africans that came on a ship or on a boat many years ago, and also African American brothers and sisters that were born and raised here. You're right. You're right. At the end of the day, we're all one skin, we're all one people. We all share similar heritage. We all share the same creed. Our background is not that different. So I'm super excited to be here this afternoon, and just, you know, I don't have a presentation because I don't think there's a need for one. But I really want to celebrate the work that Habitat for Humanity is doing to uplift Black communities. I really want to highlight the importance of such an organization in our city, particularly in the space of providing not just affordable housing, but safe and decent housing. And Caroline, under your leadership, I really want to say thank you for leading the way and being at the forefront of making a difference in people's lives. Because when we think about bridging the wealth gap, especially when we talk about our Black neighborhoods and our Black communities and our Black families, you cannot close or bridge the wealth gap if you don't talk about housing. Housing is a key essential to closing the wealth gap. And if we're going to create more Black millionaires, if we're going to uplift Black neighborhoods, if we're going to make Black neighborhoods a destination, we would have to address the challenges that these neighborhoods face when it comes to safe and affordable housing. So Caroline, again, congrats on 279 homes. I think that's a very outstanding accomplishment. So congratulations to you and to your team. So the question I asked myself, so why is this work important, Caroline? Why is the work you're leading, why is the work that Habitat does, why is it important? And it's on that premise I really want to spend the next 5-10 minutes talking about. According to the U.S. Census Office, nearly 12% of Americans live in poverty. That's a high number. 1 in 5 children in America live in extremely poor conditions, and nearly 38 million households, most of whom are Black. Nearly 38 million households, most of whom are Black in America, pay more than 30% of their incomes on housing. So said differently, a lot of families, especially in our Black communities, spend more time or spend more money on rent than they can afford. So you know what happens? These families are sacrificing food. These families are sacrificing healthcare and other basic necessities so they can afford their rent, simply because there is a lack of affordable housing and available housing. So as I sit here and I reflect on Black History Month and how far we've come as a country, one thing that keeps me up, how might we increase Black wealth? Like I mentioned before, how might we increase Black wealth? Well, to close Black wealth, to close that gap, access to affordable housing is key. Access to affordable housing is key. When families have access to affordable housing, they have income to save. When families have access to affordable housing, they have income to invest in retirement planning. When families have access to affordable housing, they are able to invest in their neighborhoods. They're able to invest in their communities. When families have access to affordable housing, it has a positive impact on the health and well-being of the children. So Caroline, that's why I really want to celebrate the work you and your team are doing, because it's important that an organization like Habitat is at the forefront, leading the way of helping to uplift our Black communities. Your impact in Black neighborhoods is simply indelible. What you're doing is so important, because providing safe and affordable housing in turn helps to create a pathway for families to move forward. Housing is important. Housing is important. I've read so many stories. I remember some months ago, actually, before I relocated here to Bridgeport, we at the bank, we had, as you know, at M&T, we have 40 hours where we can volunteer our time and help organizations such as Habitat. And I had the most awesome, rewarding experience spending time with some of my colleagues, working with Habitat and helping build homes in the city of Buffalo. We spent the whole day. Carolyn, I don't know if I can remember any other day in my life that I felt so fulfilled. Watching families stand by and just watching the tears roll off their eyes and just looking at the smiles on the faces of the kids, that they have roof over their head, they could run around their own yard, they have a living room, they have a place called a kitchen where they could go into, and they know they can afford it. That was the highlight. And I think that has been a highlight of my life, just watching the impact that can be made when we do intentional things to help uplift these families. Now, I read stories of how when Hurricane Maria happened, how families struggled because they were devastated from losing homes and livelihoods. But with Habitat's help and support, these families have safe and secure homes where they can gather again. So affordable housing is key to community and economic growth. You cannot drive local economies when Black and brown families and communities cannot afford homes. So it's important. So the mission that an organization like Habitat is doing daily is really making a difference in people's lives. And here at M&T Bank, our purpose is simple. Our purpose is to make a difference in people's lives. Our purpose is to uplift the communities where we live and work, where we serve. And that's why at the bank, a couple of months ago, we announced a $43 billion community growth plan. And that plan is aimed at supporting numerous organizations such as Habitat that are at the forefront of helping bring about affordable housing. As a matter of fact, even here in the state of Connecticut, a few months ago, we did announce our Amplified Fund in support of organizations like Habitat. And Habitat was actually the benefactor of that fund because we believe in the work that you do. We see the difference that you're making. We see the impact that you're having all across our communities here. And I'll tell you this, at the bank, we will continue to support organizations like Habitat. We'll continue to partner with you to provide access, and we won't stop there. We'll partner with you to provide skills. We will not stop there. We would partner with you to provide the needed and necessary financial education to help improve the living conditions of Black, of brown, and of all communities where we live and work. Because you know why? We believe that through safe, through decent, through affordable housing, we will empower our communities. So I'll give a Martin Luther King quote here, and then I'll stop. And here's what MLK said. He said, "There's nothing new about poverty. What is new, however, is that we have the resources to get rid of it." So Caroline and Habitat, I want to say thank you for being a resource to help get rid of poverty by providing safe, affordable, decent houses for our Black neighborhoods and for all neighborhoods and communities. So thank you. I'll pause there and I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, David. Really appreciate all that you shared. And thank you, for recognizing Habitat's work. And certainly we're thankful for M&T Bank for the funding to continue the work that we're doing. So at this time, we'd like to open it to questions for David. I don't see anything in the chat unless I'm missing it. But would anyone like to just go ahead and ask a verbal question of David?
Hi, David. This is Valencia Goodridge. I'm the director here in Family Services, and I just want to thank you for the work that you've done, and more importantly, for the funding that M&T has offered with your Amplified grant with our Advancing Black Home Ownership initiative. My question is, this is an initiative that's the Habitat International initiative, and we are fulfilling it here at the Coastal Fairfield County affiliate. What do you see are the primary barriers in advancing Black home ownership? Thank you.
Yeah, Valencia, thank you. And thank you for the work you're doing in and around our communities. When I think about some of the challenges that we have as a country in providing and advancing Black home ownership, I think there's some systemic issues and challenges. I I had the privilege and opportunity to sit down and listen to Dr. Donald Smart, and I think he's on the call here, and I learned a lot about redlining, right? There's a thing called that, and it's for real. It happened. As a country, I think we're still struggling to overcome some of those systemic issues. And I think banks, if you were to ask me, I think banks, the financial services industry as a whole, need to take a step back and begin to look at how are we appraising homes, right? How are we appraising homes? How are we making it easy from a credit policy perspective? Do our policies favor Black and brown communities? Our lending policies, right? So there's appraisal, there's systemic appraisal things that the financial industry should look at, in my opinion. I think coming up with programs that can encourage Black families to apply for home loans, I think that would be huge. I also do believe that another barrier that also gets in the way is that of just education. I think we need to be, when I say we, the banking industry, needs to be at the forefront of providing education. There's so much out there that people are not aware of. So providing education and making education and resources easily accessible, I think would help eradicate or eliminate some of these barriers that I just mentioned. Valencia, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you, David. Valencia, since you did ask that question, is there anything additional you'd like to share about this Habitat International piece on
Sure.
advancing Black home ownership?
Sure, absolutely. I'm thrilled to share. This is an initiative that Habitat International instituted a couple of years ago. And we've been very, very fortunate to work closely with Habitat International in designing a program that can reach people where they are. So we've actually identified like 4 key areas, and that's marketing, education, as you've said. We're developing an advisory committee to really drill down and identify, as you've mentioned, some of the barriers and how do we break through those barriers. And last but not least, we will, I talked about the advisory, excuse me, I'm missing one piece, marketing campaign, outreach. Thank you for your patience. So outreach is a big thing. We're reaching out to the Urban League, the NAACP, some of the Black churches in order to provide access. The key is access to information and education so that we can potentially have individuals who are qualified for a Habitat homeownership program apply. That's the ultimate goal. We want individuals to apply. So thank you, Carolyn. That's just a very, very high level overview. And I hope that was helpful.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, we do have a question in the chat. How can we grow generational wealth in our communities? And that's a question from Miriam.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to speak to that. Growing generational wealth would require us to solve housing problem. You cannot grow wealth without solving the challenges that Black and brown communities face when it comes to decent, available, and affordable housing. It's important. Making sure that Black neighborhoods are safe, making sure that people feel excited coming to their neighborhoods and to their communities, making sure that we're investing in infrastructures that would enable us sustained growth in local economies that surround Black communities and neighborhoods. It's important because when we do that, then you begin to see these communities thrive. You're beginning to see Black folks own businesses. right? When they own their businesses, they become masters of their own destiny or captains of their own destiny. That's how you begin to grow wealth. In addition to that, we educate the younger generation coming up. We empower them with the tools and resources so they too can keep that wealth within the communities, right? So providing a platform, not just for existing businesses, but for up and coming businesses, I think it's critical. But at the end of the day, fundamentally, education is key. Education is key. Resources will be critical, providing the tools. And when I say providing the tools, we, the private sector, have a huge role to play. Government sector, public sector also has a huge role to play. I think that's how we would begin to grow generational wealth within Black neighborhoods. I want to go back to something that Valencia mentioned, the Black church. I like to refer to the Black church as the powerhouse. You know, our Black churches have a huge role to play when it comes to providing education. And some of the things we've done at the bank, we've actually partnered with churches to provide education on home ownership, to provide education on how to save and how to budget. Because if we're going to talk about closing the wealth gap and growing generational wealth, people need to know how they need to save and where to invest their savings. Those are some of the things we've done as a bank, partnering with Black churches, because Black churches are a powerhouse. And until we have them at the table, so together, collectively, we address the overall and global issues that Black communities face, then we have ways to go. But I do have hope, and I do believe that working with organizations like Habitat, working with Black churches and other organizations out there, I think we could really make a difference down the road.
Okay, thank you, David. And I see, yes, Miriam says she agrees 100%. So David, we have another question here. So M&T Bank is very philanthropic, and we talked about your support of Habitat Coastal Fairfield County Advancing Black Homeownership Program. Can you share some other initiatives the bank is supporting in the Bridgeport community?
Sure. When we think about Bridgeport at M&T, there's a reason why we have Bridgeport as our New England headquarters. And the reason, for so many reasons, but one I would share is because of the potential and the hope that we see. There's so much. Bridgeport can become an economic hub for this entire region. And I say this entire region, I'm referring to the entire New England region. All the things that we've done and will continue to do, investing in the growth and sustainability of small businesses, especially Black and brown small businesses. Last year, we launched what we called our Multicultural Small Business Lab. So we partnered with the University of Bridgeport, which, as you know, is right here in the city of Bridgeport. And for 8 weeks, we brought together Black and Hispanic-owned businesses and business owners, and we took them through a series of education empowerment classes where we were teaching them how to write a business plan. We were teaching them how to market their businesses as Black-owned, as Hispanic-owned. We were teaching them branding. We were teaching them the various forms of legal entity formations. We're teaching them how to understand credit and what banks look for when folks go put in an application for a business loan. Most of these businesses had no idea. So that's what we did. And we actually gave out cash prizes to some of these businesses to help them scale or bring new products to the marketplace. So that's one. Some of the things we're doing, we've identified that in the city of Bridgeport, there's a lot of language diversity. And with that, we are identifying some of our branches that are in these communities where there's a huge concentration of different languages being spoken. We would then designate these branches as a multicultural branch where we would hire employees from these neighborhoods into these branches. We would pay them a 10% bilingual premium, so that way they can use their cultural and linguistic skills to educate, communicate, and help our communities and our neighbors and our families that live in these communities. So on the branch front, we're hiring folks to use their linguistic skills. We're hiring from the neighborhoods. We're actually hiring business banking relationship managers on the east end of Buffalo and also on the east side of Buffalo that are reflective of these communities so they can work closely with these businesses. So there's a lot more we're doing, but just for the sake of time, I just wanted to highlight those few. And I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, David. I don't see any more questions. Oh, wait a minute, I do. I'm sorry, Keith, I almost skipped over yours. So this is from Keith Jackson. As the largest weekly publication targeting the African American community in Connecticut, how can the inner city newspaper serve as a platform for delivering messaging for M&T regarding opportunities for wealth enhancement to our readership in Southern Connecticut?
Yeah, I think there's something there about making sure that we're telling our story, and I'm happy to take this offline. I think it's just partnering with such groups or entities to help tell the story, because people don't know what you do until they know your story. And at the bank, we don't do a great job of telling our story. We just focus on doing the work. But being a new bank here in the area, I think we need to do a better job telling our story, but there's so much we do. I'll share one. A few weeks ago, we partnered with Peralta Design. Peralta Design brought youth together and teaching them how to code. It's such an inspiring thing to do. Bring kids, teach them how to code, because gaming is a real thing. When you have an organization doing that and making direct impact, those are the types of organizations we want to work with and support. So at M&T, we're able to provide laptops to this youth. And when I say provide, we gave them laptops. It's theirs, right? In support of their dreams and their desires to become effective coders down the road. So there's so much we do and so much we will continue to do to make sure we're uplifting the city of Bridgeport.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have another one. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Kesa. And she says, Youth Impact runs an entrepreneurial program for youth 14 to 24 in Bridgeport. Some of our youth are dealing with housing challenges, so thank you for all the work that you're doing to help youth thrive in safe and affordable houses. We also require all youth to participate in the financial literacy lesson where they learn about budgeting, investments, and how to prepare for buying and maintaining a small apartment. It may seem early, but it seems to provide a focus and purpose for their ventures, careers, and life. What's your message to youth getting on the path to home ownership?
Yeah, I love that. No, there's no such thing as it's too young or they're too young. The earlier we start to educate our youth on home ownership, the better. So here's my advice. Educate yourself. There's so much out there online. We at M&T, we would show up. We love to provide financial education, right? So we would work with whoever we need to work with to get in front of youth to teach them on the importance of owning a home. There's benefits to owning a home rather than renting. And we need to educate folks at a very young age. You don't have to wait till you're in your 30s to buy your home. You could buy your home in your 20s. So education is huge. We could help. So my advice to youth, education. Know the ins and outs of home ownership, even in your teenage years. It's important. Understand the power of savings, how to save, right? So my advice to youth, instead of spending that $500 on the Michael Jordan sneaker, save that money, invest that money, put that money aside so you can buy your home at 20, at 21, at 25. Learn about the different real estate opportunities out there. So I think education, I think empowerment, I think providing the tools and resources necessary for youth to thrive. Those are some of the things that we as a bank, that's what we do. So I'll advise youth to make sure that they're proactively looking for information to help prepare them for home ownership as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you for that. We have a question from Ken. Can you share what you see in your market as trends and opportunities for Black and other minority business ownership? Are there barriers similar to what you noted for Black home ownership?
Yeah, so what do I see? I see hope. When I look around our communities here, small businesses is the reason why our economies will grow. So said differently, if our small businesses are not doing well, our communities will not do well. When you look across the country right now, almost half of economic growth that's taking place in the country is driven by America's small businesses. They employ the most folks, right? So small business is a very powerful force. When I think about, let me bring it back home here to Bridgeport. When I think about the opportunities here for small businesses, it's endless. It's endless. When we do know there are challenges, we do know that there are barriers to small business growth, especially in Black and brown communities. And I'll share some of them. Some of them is just access to trusted resources. A lot of our Black and brown communities don't just trust the system. They don't know where to find resources. And that's why here at M&T, we launched our multicultural small business lab, where we would use that as a platform to educate and teach and show where folks can find trusted resources. Access to capital is an issue. If you're going to grow a business, you need to be part of the American financial system. The only way, the gateway to the American financial system is credit. A lot of our small businesses struggle with credit, hence a hindrance to accessing capital. So we at the bank here, we work closely. We look at every small businesses on a case-by-case basis, right? Be you a startup or be you a seasoned business. We would look at your situation and we'll work closely with you. And if we're not able to approve a loan for you today, we would work with you to get you to a place where we can or could approve a loan for you. Or we would connect you with some of our CDFIs, our community development financial institutions that are all across the state, to see if they can help you. That's how we overcome some of these barriers. That's how collectively we would drive small business growth. And that's how we would drive economic growth, because we know when our small businesses do well, our communities do well.
Okay, thank you, David. And also, David, there are lots of comments in the chat, which you can read later. You know, Keith Jackson said to thank you and look forward to working with your marketing department. We have, you know what, I see another question, so let me go to that. Paul says, what are the biggest hurdles for low-income families in achieving home ownership? I thought I heard about new down payment assistance program being offered in Connecticut. Is this so?
Yeah, thanks, Paul, for that question. I'm not sure what if I've heard that, and there might be, I don't know. I do know here at M&T, we're actually building our mortgage team here locally, and our mortgage teams will be working with, you know, the Habitats of the World locally to make sure that we're looking into programs that can help low-income families get in the game and in this home ownership space. So I know we're very intentional about that. You know, I'll go back to what I said before. Education is huge. Providing education to low-income families, making sure we're showing them where to find the trusted resources, I think that would also be helpful for these low-income families to get in the game of home ownership.
Okay. So the down payment assistance program, I know it's available at various places, but one is through the city of Bridgeport. Councilwoman Maria Valle, I hate to put you on the spot, but is there anything you can contribute about the down payment assistance program through the city? Okay, look like she may not be active right now. Oh, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Okay,
You're
I
on mute.
unmuted myself.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want you to see me. I'm a mess.
That's okay.
I had a knee replacement, so you know what I'm going through.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Well,
but
really-
I hear about the the assistance for, again, home ownership. I
Mhm.
think that would be awesome, because I do know that there are individuals, and I hear mentioned about our youth. As a matter of fact, there's a mom that lives 3-4 blocks away who has children in college and also working part-time, and she's saying that she wants to be able to buy a home, and her children are there to help her. And I was just I heard mention again about youth, right? You could be in your 20s and buy your home. I can attest that my son was 27 years old when he first bought his first home. So I know it can be done. And so I'm sharing that info with my grandson, who's 25, and say, CAJ, it can be done. So, but it would be ideal, again, if this would be, somehow implemented. If it's not, and again, we do have NRCs that we welcome, again, information brought to our residents so that they understand that, yes, there's a language barrier and there's other issues here, but buying your home, getting assistance to buy your home, if it's put out there, I'm sure that people are, again, wanting to take advantage. I, for one, support 100% Habitat for Humanity, because Habitat for Humanity has made people's dreams come true, right? A lot of people. And I know they've taken an area where it's been blighted. It's practically half a block destroyed. And here comes Habitat, and they were able to build some condos in that area, rebuild whatever was there. So again, we're talking about buying homes, perhaps even, how can we help Habitat continue in what they're doing throughout the city of Bridgeport, and allowing for individuals to, again, uh, be that homeowner. I think it brings a community more together, and I think there's pride in owning your own home and wanting to take care of it. So again, I thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the presentation and information that has been put out there and will be forthcoming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Maria Valle, who have, just been such a strong supporter of Habitat, former board member. So thank you so much. Valencia, I noticed you did put a link in the chat. Would you just like to say a few words about that?
Absolutely. There are a couple of links I did put in the chat. The city of Bridgeport does, under, I believe it was maybe more than a year ago, Mayor Ganem instituted a new payment, a down payment assistance program, which is terrific. I believe it's a $10,000 down payment assistance program. The link is there. You're more than happy to click on it and save it. I do know that the state of Connecticut does have I believe it's called myhomect.org. I don't know a ton about it, but I believe prospective homeowners can get up to $25,000 for assistance. So those are two great programs that individuals can look. There are income guidelines. It's for low and moderate income future homeowners.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And we also have Yanira Reyes from Senator Blumenthal's office, and she has put some resourceful links in the chat also. Ms. Reyes, is there anything you would like to share?
Hi. Yeah, no, not anything additional. Just that came to mind when the down payment was mentioned. I know that the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority, they have a down payment assistance program, but that is a loan. So I just wanted to provide that link so folks could look into that if that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. And thank you for joining us. It's always wonderful to have our elected officials, to have you from Senator Blumenthal's office, to have Councilwoman Maria Valle. Always thankful because we depend on both of you and other elected officials so much to support us in the work that we do. Okay, David, we have another question for you here. I agree. This is from Josue. I agree that education is key, and acknowledgement and awareness of systemic issues is the first step towards creating a more equitable system. In addition to M&T partnership with Black churches and businesses, how does M&T Bank identify new trusted messengers to help deliver much needed education from sources that Black and Brown communities can trust?
Yeah, great question. So I'll tell you this, we don't know what we don't know as a bank. I will tell you though that we are intentionally learning and listening. So here are a few things we've done in order to identify trusted sources that Black and Brown communities can trust. We've gone out, even here in Bridgeport, we've spent time in every part of Bridgeport, particularly the east side and the east end. We've brought folks together and we've asked a lot of questions and they've given us feedback. So how do we identify trusted sources that these folks go to? They tell us who they want us to go to. They tell us who they trust for us to partner with. They tell us who they believe in has their back that they would love to see M&T work with. So to answer your question, we go to the people tell us who they trust and who they believe we work with, and that's who we work with. Because we are a bank for all communities, we are solely focused on our communities where we serve, so we're also relying and depending on them to be our guide, so we can together uplift these communities that we live and work. So I hope that answers your question, Josue.
Okay. Thank you. And, you know, we have, in addition to questions, many comments in the chat also. We have from Ramon Peralta, you know, thanking you and M&T Bank for being the tech sponsor for their code camp, where each camper receive a laptop or tablet upon completion of the program. And I see Lorraine Gibbons, you know, Executive Director of the Sheen Center, as well as McGivney Center, you know, just thanking you for being so authentic and appreciate all that you do in helping the community, and to let her know how her organizations can be assistance to M&T Bank, and from Marcia Fountain at Housatonic Community College, you know, thanking you for all the work that you're doing to assist small business growth in our community. And so, you know, I just really want to thank you, David. I know how busy you are and you're even traveling right now, but thank you. Thank you so much, you know, for taking this time for this conversation. It's very valuable. M&T, you're in the community, as I shared earlier. I'm everywhere and you're everywhere, right? We see each other everywhere. So you're just, the bank is just so involved, and I'm so thankful for that. So again, you know, just want to say thank you. I want to thank everyone that's here today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, for spending this lunch hour with us. I also want you to look at our chat feature. It mentions some of our upcoming events for the CEO series. You know, we have 4 parts. So this was the first part for the year, the Black History Month. Coming up next month, March 22nd, is our Women's History Month. So you'll all get information about that. We have our gala coming up April 1st. And so in June, we'll also have a CEO speaker for National Caribbean American Heritage Month. We have our golf outing coming up September 25th. And then September 27th, we'll have our National Hispanic Heritage Month series. And so basically, we just want to keep the conversations going, valuable conversations like the one we had today. I was going to say yesterday, because I think I just saw David a couple of days ago. But these conversations are so important, and it's so important for us to hear from a diverse group of leaders in our community to educate us, to find out about what resources are available. It gives me an opportunity to share even a little more, about Habitat, about the work that we're doing. And the fact that you're here with us today, let me know that you're really interested in our work. So again, just want to say thank you to everyone for being here today. And thank you, David. This was just such a great conversation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to the staff, to our board member, Beth Rafferty. I know she said she had to leave early, so she may be gone. But, everything we do here at Habitat, it's, because of our board members, our staff, our volunteers, and our friends, our donors, our supporters, and all of you. So again, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
you.
Are we gonna get a recording of this sent to our emails?
Yes, yes.
Okay. This is
All
Tahiba
right.
Bain. I'm sorry, I was late. I apologize.
That's okay. I'm just so glad you were able to make it. I know how busy you are doing all that great work out there, all the reentry work, and getting
Thank you.
those coming back into our community, getting them equipped with what they need to be successful as they re-engage in the community. So thank you for taking the time to join us.
Thank you. All right, bye.
You're welcome.
Carolyn, this is
Bye-bye.
Keith. Thank you very much for the invite. This has been great. I look forward to being in contact with you soon.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Keith. It's always wonderful having the inner city newspaper on. So really appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great job,
Thank you.
Carolyn.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you, David Femi.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
It was very informative. I look forward to the next upcoming ones.
Yes, Cassandra, it's so wonderful having you join us. Yes, and we will get the information out for the upcoming events.
Great. It's one of my passions.
Okay, wonderful.
Have a great day.
You too, you too. And thank you again, David. This is all with the exception of Keith, which is fine. Some of our staff that's on right now, but I thought it was a really great conversation. So Keith, from a media perspective, newspaper, what did you think?
Well, you know something, Carolyn, this has just been a great opportunity for us to connect with M&T. Obviously, M&T is transitioning into the community here after the basically takeover with from People's, and we've been in contact with a lot of people from both the People's Organization, and we are trying to get in contact with M&T right now to serve as a platform for marketing. It's funny, just prior to the conference that we had just today, I was able to get in contact with Karen Galbo, who's working with his. Matter of fact, she said she was just not with you. And I explained to her that I was going to be on this call with David. We have been in contact with several people, but Karen seems to be key in getting us plugged into the marketing arms of M&T. And we are very interested in serving as an opportunity for David said to tell the story, to basically educate our readership on the opportunities And to hear David specifically talk about how M&T is involved with basically enhancing the lives of people in the inner community throughout New Haven and Fairfield counties is where we distribute our paper. But I mean, it's just really leaps and bounds. We're absolutely excited to be involved with the M&T story. And Carolyn, I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done, even inviting me on so that I can take part in this opportunity. And I look forward to working with you soon. One last thing, I think that you would give me David's contact information. Hopefully, I will get in contact with you after this. And if I can just get like his email and his telephone number so that we can connect even further, it would be nice to have him basically support the efforts that we're going to be putting forth in contacting Karen and the marketing people, and just to know that, you know, David is behind the messaging and the outreach that we'd like to present to our readership. So that's going to help a lot, and we look forward to kind of making things happen for the organization and you as well, and especially you, Karen, especially you, Carolyn. We would like to serve more as an outlet for messaging for Habitat. You know, I've just kind of really gotten educated. I always thought that Habitat was an organization that when disaster strikes, that Habitat would come and rebuild the home. But it seems like there's more that you do in the community, even in kind of rebuilding blighted communities and just making opportunities for families to kind of enhance and to grow and to have opportunities that were outside of the area that I had originally thought the Habitat served. So I look forward to working more with you as well, Carolyn. In any way possible, just let me know. And David, I see you. Thank
Okay,
you.
and I'll connect you and David.
Yeah, absolutely. David, I look forward to working with you soon. And I will send Carolyn a link to our publication. It'll be to our website. Hopefully we'll get you on so that every week we can send you the digital paper, send you our newsletters, and kind of let you see on a more dynamic fashion exactly what we do. So I thank you again, Carolyn. I'm going to sign off because I have my lunch here waiting. So
Okay, okay.
All right, you take
All
care
right.
now.
Thank you so much. Take care, Key.
I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Okay. All right,
Hey, Carol.
David. So we're gonna sign
Thank
off.
you so much. I'll call you on your cell.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank
Okay. Thanks again. Bye-bye.